right, everybody. I want to thank y'all for tuning in to One Objective tonight. Man, it feels good to be back in the studio. Chris, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Oh, not too bad. Guys, we ain't got James again. James is doing some cleaning right now. He's cleaning up the office, the studio where he does his side of the show at. So it's been crazy busy. I wasn't going to talk about it in the last show because we didn't have James, but I'm going to go ahead and spill the beans now. A lot of people already know with our other side business, or I say side business, other business, Victory Woodworking Designs. If y'all don't mind, please go follow us on Facebook, and you can check it out there on Instagram. We're kind of getting into custom signs. And the actual sign that we had for the Augusta County Fishing Expo was a sign that we made, and James did a really good job on that because that was kind of like, done right away, like the day of the setup when we were supposed to be doing setup. So he was able to throw that together for us real quick. So I appreciate him doing that. But like say, we have got a really great show lined up for you guys. We got Seth Feider coming on. He is on the Bassmaster Elite Series. We're going to be going over his 2019 season. Where he had a really great finish. And then we're going to be going over his start to the year, which he hasn't had a great start. Down in Florida, it wasn't the best start with a 67th place finish. But, the year ain't over. It just started. So he's got time to pull all that back up. I'm sorry I'm out of breath, guys. I was sitting there at the last minute trying to run up the steps.
He's been running sprints down the steps.
Yeah, try to get a drink and all that. So I'm kind of out of breath right now. But
hey, Ron, Casey, and Brittany.
Hey, guys. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Like say, I did a video before we came on here. Hey, if you don't mind, hey, share this. Do a watch party. Do whatever you like to do. But we just love it if you guys could share it, all the people that follow us and all that. So just really helps getting the show out there. So, but, anyways, before we call Seth, let's go over a couple things. I want to thank our sponsors that we've had for the last several years, and they've stayed with us for the 2020 season. They've been really great sponsors. I know we tag them a lot. I do everything I can to represent these people because they've done so much for us. It's just great building kind of like a family deal with them. I mean, we got that respect for one another, and we talk to each other about odd and end things, and they really support us with like the other side of One Objective. I'm gonna say is the having a problem with that wire.
If the wire would behave, I'm not gonna mess with it no more.
But anyways, they've been very supportive of everything we do, and and then we try to support them as well. But anyways, I want to thank Bonafide Kayaks, Yak Attack, Biono Power, Falcon, Alcacol, Parapole, Missile Baits. Guys, they've really helped us out a lot. So, kind of getting on some of the business side of things, guys that are rigging out your kayaks, rigging out your John boats, rigging out whatever, make sure you go to oneobjectivebf.com and check out all that we have to offer now. I mean, we got a whole line of Biono batteries.
What?
You heard me. Batteries. We got a whole line of Biono batteries. We got a lot of Yak Attack products on there, a lot of Yak Attack accessories. We also just came out, I didn't even put no pictures up for our new mounts, but most people that follow us on,
yeah, they've seen them. Yeah, they've seen them. They go on a website and Facebook. So,
yeah.
Did a couple videos, didn't you?
Yeah. James shot some videos. I actually just put the last one up today for the accessory plate for the Vibe kayaks. When we made that, we actually didn't realize that Vibe actually made a small change on their mold, and the handle's a little farther forward.
Yeah.
So we got to make some changes for that. But the one we got right now is 18 and later kayak. So, but we did an accessory plate for that. We got two motor mounts we came out with. One is for like we call a universal mount. It'll fit certain boats like Jacksons and stuff like that. But it's mainly for the 4-bolt pattern. Like if you got a power pole on your boat, anything like that, it's made to go on that. So, or a flat surface, you want to drill holes, put a bolt through, it'll work for that as well. But then also we come out in the Vibe stuff. We got more into the Vibe side, and working and getting some more products out there for that. And so we're excited. We're expanding. Chris, you came up here and worked the show with us this weekend or last weekend.
Yeah.
What'd you think about that? It was a pretty good show.
It was a good show.
Yeah. I mean,
had a lot of people come by and talk.
Yeah.
Ask questions.
Yeah. It's, it builds a lot of interest when they see a kayak sitting there on a table that is slam decked out. We had James's boat sitting there on the table, and it's wrapped, and just it's got all the goodies on it.
Between his and Ron's, they got a pretty good.
Yeah,
a lot of people come by and looked at them.
Yes, and right now, and that kind of brings me to another point. Ron had a booth right by us, RBT Crankbaits. He was actually it was our last show we did.
Yeah.
We had him on, and he was talking about all his custom bait. He's got some really great baits, guys. And he's not a sponsor of our show, but he's a really good friend of ours. So if you get time, go check out RBT Crankbaits. He did sponsor our giveaway.
Yeah.
And he also did another giveaway, which you give a guy, was it a $25 gift card, I think it was?
Yeah.
So he come by and picked that up at the booth. And but to watch Ron, how he is with kids, man. He loves kids. He gave away some baits to some kids, and he just that right there is really impressive to me, because that, like say, you're getting a kid a lure. That's just getting them into fishing. You know what I mean? So I really love that.
Custom painted one at that.
Yeah. So, and I mean, man, he had some kids running up to his booth looking for him after he did a video. Some kids come up looking for him, knew he was there. Man, they like ran straight to his booth and knew what they wanted. So. It's just really cool to see. I like that a lot. So, but Chris, we got anything coming across the boards right now? It's gonna be a couple more minutes before we get Seth on, but
not yet. But
people hanging in there.
People hanging out right now.
Like I say, we're gonna have him on here in just a couple minutes. But I want to give a big shout out to Jody Queen. Jody won the KBF Pro Tour down in Clement on the Clement chain of lakes.
Yeah, the 190 some inches.
Yeah. He had 100 some inches the first day, and then come right back out there and backed it back up again, know? So, I mean, big congratulations. We've had Jody on a show twice. It's always a great time having Jody on. I really wanted to try to get him on, but I think it was just last minute. I don't think we could have squeezed that in for him. But like I say, big congratulations to him. There's also a lot going on with the Hobie series. And then we got the first Bassmaster kayak event coming out, the Bass Nation kayak bass, not kayak Bass Nation, but
was it like 200
kayak Federation Nation,
200 some people, or
it's something like it's on up there, man. What it's gonna be. I keep saying the kayak Bass Nation. I don't mean that, guys. I'm sorry if I keep saying that. Nothing towards him.
Yeah,
I just keep getting it wrong. It's say
Bassmaster kayaking.
Yeah, there we go. It's the kayak Bass Federation deal. So. But it's going to be at the Bassmaster Classic, and really looking forward to getting down there and
same lake.
No, I think they're going to be on a different lake.
Oh, okay.
But their tournament is actually they're going to be weighing in on the first day of the Bassmaster Classic, so their tournament's going on while the media stuff's going on before. So, but we're going to get down and talk with them. But they'll be weighing in on the first day of the Bassmasters Classic. They'll get to come across the stage and be in front of everybody, I mean, that's just such a cool idea. I'm really excited that Bass is moved into this direction, and I think it's going to be great for the sport.
That's kind of silly, but I don't know if people are going to be sitting in their kayaks as they get pulled up.
I don't know, man. I've been picturing like that should be awesome. That
would be even funnier. The ones that put them on top of their vehicles, they have to sit on top of their vehicles as they're being driven up to the thing.
They do what they do is they in the Bassmaster Class they pull them through like we're talking about, but then they also do the Super Six. So the Super Six, the top six guys, they come in on their boat, and then he bring up to the stage. Man, I think that'd be awesome. But the kayak trailers are a lot lower than the bass boat trailer, so they're going to need a ladder for these guys to climb out of their kayak to walk up on stage. So I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it. I think it'd be really awesome if he did something like that. Then again, they might just bring them in with the Toyota Tundras, and they just stand in the back of the truck.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It'd still be even funnier to have them if they carry their kayak on the top of their car.
Yeah,
to have them in there, to have them sitting on top of the roof of their vehicle. I think that'd be funny. But
I think it'd be pretty cool. But hey, Chris, let's go ahead and get Seth dialed in. Like I said, guys, he is going to be on audio tonight. He is driving, so it's not going to be safe for him to do video and drive. We know how dangerous it can be playing with your phone. Chris, you got a great video of that today.
Oh yeah.
Chris about got hit on Collision.
That'll be going on DDS TV.
Yeah. I'm excited to. There's loud. See if he calls it. See if we get him. Hey,
hello.
You got you, Seth?
Yeah.
Hey, Seth, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Good. How's it going?
Oh, not too bad, man. I appreciate you joining us tonight on OneObjective. I know you're traveling down the road right now, and time is of the essence. You ain't got a lot of time to come on and do video, but I really appreciate you taking the time to call and talking to us tonight over the phone.
Yeah, no problem, man.
So tell us a little bit. Where are you heading to right now?
I'm heading to Carl Jacobson's house.
I got you. Were y'all going to get together and
stay
start?
there for about 3 days before I head to Gunnersville for practice for the Classic. So
yeah.
Try to knock a little rust off. I haven't fished a whole lot this year, just a week or so in Florida, but gonna do a little fishing for a few days, try to get a little more ready for the Classic, and start practice on Friday.
Awesome, man. Now, are you getting the jitters, or does it feel like just a normal tournament, or is it like it's starting to sit in, hey, man, I'm going to go to the Bassmaster Classic? I mean, how does it feel right now?
Yeah, I don't get too nervous about it. It's kind of just another tournament, but if anything, I feel less pressure for this than I do a regular season elite event, just because if you bomb, whatever, but if you win, your life changed forever. So, I mean, there's really no bad outcome. I mean, maybe a bitter second place by a few ounces, one fish kind of deal would probably be worst case scenario for the Classic.
Yeah, exactly. Now let's talk about, before we get to, much further into the Classic, let's talk about your 2019 season, which led up to you qualifying for the Bassmasters Classic. Talk a little bit about that season for you and how all that went.
Really no complaints. I mean, I got really fortunate throughout the year. I fished real hard. Nothing came easy, but didn't really have a bad event. I think my worst finish was maybe high 30s, low 40s maybe, and that was at Winya Bay, which is, tidal rivers are historically my worst finishes. So other than that, one little hiccup in the road, it was pretty smooth sailing. I didn't really had a couple good tournaments at the end, nothing crazy the rest of the year as far as really good finishes, but just stayed really consistent and finished in, that 20 to 30th place each event. No complaints, man. Had a really consistent year, and I was pretty happy about that, because usually every year I bomb a few. Like this year, I've already bombed the first one, so got a little more work to do this year. But last year was just kind of everything went right,
Yeah, and I mean, like say you bombed, like say you say you bombed your first one, and the year's just getting started. Granted, you got to work harder now to kind of get back up there, but But I mean, other than that, like say the year ain't over. There's so many great lakes and good fisheries that you're good at that you'll be hitting.
Tournament practice, last year I didn't have a bad one at all. This year to start off with one, I guess that's due for one, but you want to catch them every tournament, no doubt.
Yeah, and like I say, you guys were plagued with some tough conditions for the first event, with cancellations and all that. So you don't have a lot of time to really follow through on any kind of game plan. It's just really tough time. So, but kind of going over, last year's event. I mean, is there anything that you did different last year that you did the year before, as in changed in how you fish or how you practice, or is it just kind of one of those things? It was just meant to be. You got into good spots and all that.
No, I think I'm from Minnesota, so the vast majority of my experience fishing is up north, and it seems like each year I get a little bit better down south, a little more comfortable, and I think that had a lot to do with it. And I've learned to practice a little better over the years too. Like when I started, I always tried to see like the entire lake. I'd spend each day of practice on a totally different section, and that just doesn't end up working for me. I do much better if I can pick one, whether it's half the lake, a quarter of the lake, or what it might be, but a certain section, and just kind of commit all my time there rather than, trying to see the whole lake and spending a little bit of practice time all over it. So I think that made a big difference.
Yeah. Now, like say, you're talking about you're from Minnesota now. What is the toughest part from you when you come down south fishing? What is the hardest part for you to adjust to? Now I know up there you're fishing for smallmouth, you're fishing deep water, you're fishing open water. What was the biggest adjustment when you come down south to fish?
Really, we don't really get a real pre-spawn or much. I don't have much experience in the pre-spawn just because we have a closed bass season, and then we have ice for so long. Like by the time the ice comes off the lake, our pre-spawn period's super short. I mean, maybe a couple weeks at best from ice out to fish spawn. And so, and then most of our tournaments down south all take place in that, pre-spawn spawn time of year. So it just seems like the fish move a lot more that time of year where, predominantly most of my fishing's done post-spawn, summer, fall, where, fish are more grouped up and consistently on like the same places multiple days in a row. And it just seems like with pre-spawn fish, especially down south, they're just like constantly moving. So you got to adjust a lot more and, cover more water versus like back home. I can, if I get a bite somewhere and I put a waypoint down, I can go back there the next day and catch fish there versus down south. I think you got to keep more of an open mind and fish conditions more than spots.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, is there any technique wise? I know things are a little different up north. Was there something that you use down south that's more like, this is my what is your go-to bait that is like every lake you hit, you have this bait?
I mean, either like I'm kind of a flipper, like a jig or a tube or a white swim jig's kind of my bread and butter down south. I end up around the house too, but got a lot of fish on a big swim bait this year actually too, or last year. That ended up being a big player for me, more so than it had any other year.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of one of those, I mean, when you throw that, is that kind of you're just looking for 5 big bites, or is that something you don't get many big bites off of that,
No, you're definitely head hunting for sure. But, a lot of the places we went to, it's set up good for, fish for bite, and we were at the right places at the right times, and it wasn't, we didn't have very many grinders on the schedule last year. It was kind of the exception of 1 or 2. It was pretty much all slugfest. So those are the kinds of times where you can, pick up that big swim bait and go out and get, 5, 6, 7 bites on it a day.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, like drop shotting and all that stuff, where, I mean, I know a lot of people up north like throwing, well, I say a lot of people, some people, like during catching in bigger smallmouth and all that. Is that something you used a lot too when you come down this way? Is that kind of like another go-to bait?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, I definitely mixed in a spinning rod quite a bit. Drop shot and an eco rig are kind of the big ones for me. It's when I pick up the spinning rod. But yeah, they definitely play down south. I've just noticed I do better with like bigger baits down south, for like drop shotting up around the house. It's a lot of 3-4 inch baits, and down south, I, even though I'm using light line and a finesse technique, I still find myself throwing 7 and 8 inch worms on my drop shots and eco rigs.
Yeah, most definitely. I know that's a bait for me. I had the opportunity several years ago to ride around with Mark Daniels on the Bassmaster Classic and got to watch him throw that Nico rig a lot and catching a lot of spots and all that. And now, like I said, I used to throw shaky head all the time, but now I'm like that's all I throw, is a Nico rig over a shaky head most of the time. Not unless I'm fishing like really deep water, but that's a hard bait not to throw now for me. Like that's my go-to. But
yeah, it's kind of replaced a lot of things for me.
Yeah,
I used to throw a wacky stick worm a lot and a shaky head quite a bit, and that's kind of taken over for both of them for me.
Yeah, exactly. Now, kind of going into this year, like say you had a tough event, but is there any other lakes that, besides going north, is there any other lakes that you're really looking forward to hitting this year?
Yeah, a lot of them actually. We got a pretty good schedule. Never been to Eufaula. That one looks really cool. I guess that lake's fishing awesome. And seems like an average size, and there's 3-4 pounds. So I think that's going to be a fun one. Santee Cooper looks fun, and then we went to Lake Fork last year, so I got a little taste of that. And that's that's got to be up there as one of my favorite lakes I've been to, traveling around. So pretty excited for that one again too.
Yeah, most definitely. I love when they go down to a lot of the the Texas lakes and all that. Just seeing the big fish, because Texas has that. I guess they call it that lunker share program. They just breed so many big fish down there. It's also it's always fun to watch people catch those big fish. So, but anyways, so now that we're we're talking about getting close to the Classic, and we talked that it's kind of a typical, or I say it feels like a normal tournament to you. But is there anything you do different, kind of prepping for this one, as you would like for the rest of the year? Did you because you don't get as much time on this body of water. You get a little bit of practice time, but did you do any scouting through the off season, just kind of going over that lake?
No, I used to do the pre-fish ahead of before cutoff quite a bit when I was starting doing this, and it ends up wasting a lot of time really for me when I go back there. So I didn't do any of that. It just seems like anytime I go and pre-practice a place, I'll do a bit of fishing while I'm there, and then inevitably if you fish, you're going to catch a few. And, I end up spending my time checking places where I caught them a month before the tournament or 2 months before the tournament. And like I said, with most of our tournaments being in that, spring realm, everything changes so much that I just end up wasting my official practice, looking over stuff that I'd, found. And with the Classic, the practice is really weird. We'll practice Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We have Monday, Tuesday off. We get a short practice day Wednesday, Thursday off, and then tournament starts Friday. So unlike a normal tournament where we practice 3 days right ahead of the tournament and then boom, fish the tournament, this one, the real majority of our practice is a full week ahead of the tournament. So
yeah,
the thing I've noticed from the Classics I've fished before is I'll go out there in those first few days or whatever and get on a decent pattern, and then you get that little short practice day on Wednesday, and you usually go back out and try to run that some more and see just enough of it to think it's still going on, and then by the time the tournament rolls around, it's pretty much all changed by then. So I think I'll practice a little different for this one after fishing a couple of Classics. I probably won't fish near as much those first couple days of official practice. Probably just gonna take a good look at Guntersville, see all of it, and run around, not fish, but see what creeks got what watercolor in them, what kind of grass is growing where, and then really try to figure out the best pattern on that short Wednesday rather than the 3 days a week prior to the tournament.
Yeah. Now, what I've been not say concerned, but wondering about is, the winter we've had was very mild. It wasn't much. Now, actually, down south got more daggone snow than Virginia did. But do you think that's going to kind of mess with some guys' heads too, and kind of saying, well, hey, man, I know once people get on the water and they're like, all right, well, this is water temperature. I kind of understand where these fish are at, especially you guys. You do it for a living. So, but do you think if we would have had the winter that we had and had a colder Classic, it could have been a drag, a knockout slugfest. But how do you think this event's going to be? Do you think it's going to be big weights, or do you think it's going to be kind of a tough event? Or
no, I think it's going to be a slugfest. I think, it's been colder down there the last couple of weeks, and they had a tournament on Guntersville this weekend. I took 30 pounds to win.
Yeah.
I think practice might be a little on the tougher side because it is going to be cooler. It's for our 3-day practice period, it's looking like lows in the 20s, highs in the 40s. So I think I might have them down a little bit, but by the time the tournament rolls around, it's forecasted for highs in the mid 60s, lows in the mid 40s. So I think the tournament will be a slugfest, but I think practice might not show it.
Yeah, exactly. Chris, you say we got a question right now?
Yeah, Jim wants to know who he thinks is going to be the top 3 in the Classic.
Who do you think is going to be the top 3 in the Classic this year?
Well, I got to put myself in there just for fun. But I'd say maybe a Chris Zaldane. Scott Canterbury's pretty good local there. Him or Matt Herron, I could see having a really good event as far as the local guys go. And then I think Zaldane could have a big show in there. He's a big swim bait guy, and that's the time and place to end the tournament to block one of those things in your hand and go fish for 5 to 7 bites a day, and throw down those 25+ pound bags that's going to take to win the deal.
And that's kind of like last year's Classic. I mean, he was throwing a swim bait, and I think it kind of bit him towards the end there, but he did well with that. And Chris he's another one that's had some couple of good years now, and it's like he's really putting some things together. Yep. And he, like say, I see him being one of the top ones there to be concerned about.
Yeah, for sure. It's setting up good for the way he likes to fish, and he's definitely getting closer. He had multiple second place finishes last year, and he's really, I think, on the verge of a big win. So yeah, I could definitely see him doing well. And then, Gunnersville is like the first place of tournament bass fishermen. Like half the guys we fish against are from somewhere near Gunnersville. So obviously you got some guys that got a ton of history on that lake too. So I could see some, like I said, a Herron or a Canterbury or one of the Alabama guys, having a good finish just based on the amount of knowledge they have on that and experience on that lake.
Yeah, most definitely. Chris, you say we got another one?
Yeah, Jillian wants to know if he thinks practice is detrimental sometimes for those big turnings because you try to adapt to a pattern that could change instead of playing to your strengths.
Did you hear that, Seth?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of the better tournaments I've had have been off of really bad practices, just kind of where you really got nothing to go on and you just go out fishing and kind of, like I said before, fish the conditions, fish the moment. That's when those big things happen where you run into them and catch a bunch of big ones. And it seems like a lot of times when I've had really good practices, I get too stuck on, doing exactly what I did and where I did it. When I was getting, quite a few bites in practice doing it, you almost get too locked into it where it ends up hurting you if that pattern or bite goes away. It's just always changing in the spring, warming up, cooling down, getting water coming up, going down, warming, cooling. It's just, there's so many variables in there. It seems like if you can get, just enough of a clue where you get a couple bites on some baits you got some confidence in, and then kind of just rolling with it, or maybe finding one kind of general area you really liked and then kind of figuring them out in the tournament in that area versus, like I said, some of my best practices have been my worst tournaments just because I get too locked into exactly what happened in practice.
Yeah. Now, like I say, when we're talking, since we're kind of talking about practice and finding a location, when you're looking for the way you fish, when you're looking at a lake and you want to break it down, are you more of like you try to get into the rivers and find some of those fish, or do you try to stay more main lake, deeper water? I mean, where's your favorite, location to really start practicing at to where you feel comfortable catching fish?
I would say it's going to be more based seasonally.
I got you.
Like the earlier in the pre-spawn, I'm probably going to tend to fish more up lake just because the water is usually warmer, a little bit more off color. And then, as you go through the fish moving up in different sections of the lake, if you're going to fish somewhere closer to the tail end of the spawn, I'd probably look more towards that bottom end of the lake. Just everything kind of progresses from the top to the bottom. So it's kind of going to depend on, where we're at in the spawn.
Yeah, exactly. What do we got, Chris?
Jerry wants to know what Other than fishing, what is his favorite sport?
Other than fishing, what's your favorite sport?
Gotta be duck hunting.
That's how I figured
Like
it'd be.
if I could shoot greenhead mallards in a cornfield every day, I don't know if I'd ever pick up a fishing pole.
What kind of, since we're on that topic, man, I mean, what really got you into trying to pursue your dream into being a big bass fisherman? I mean, what really pushed that for you?
Well, my dad, he fished a little bit. He definitely got the fire started for me, falling in love with fishing, but not so much the tournament side, just, going out. It didn't matter, got the fire rolling. It didn't matter if we were catching crappies, bluegills, bass, whatever, He definitely got me to fall in love with fishing, and then really like watching old Bassmasters on TNN, where I saw guys doing it as a job. They kind of became my idols, and I always wanted to do that, but at the same time it was kind of pipe dreamy, 1 in a million kind of deal. But I'd say probably in my early to mid 20s I got real serious about trying to make something of it. I fell in love with the idea when I was 10, 12 years old, but never really thought of it as a real possibility until I was in my mid-20s and started, fishing a lot of local tournaments around the house and having some decent success, and then, trying to give it a go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, you hear so many stories of like, people, their fathers did it for so many years, or, they had a guide business. I mean, did you do anything guiding before that? I mean, before you got into kind of pursuing it?
Yeah, I did a little bit of guiding, nothing super serious. The big lake by my house, they actually do like quite a few like corporate guide trips where they'd have, 50, 60 boat guide trips, kind of like a mini tournament or whatever for bigger corporations, just pretty close to downtown Minneapolis. So I did a little bit of guiding that way, and I did a little bit on my own, but never a full-time gig or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand.
If I did a dozen guide trips a summer, that was quite a bit for me.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And, and that's like you see a lot of these guys, some of the elite guys in MLF and all that do guiding on the off season, to kind of stay tuned, I guess, with fishing. And,
yeah.
And all. Do you still, I know you like doing duck hunting. I see that, you travel around and you like catching walleye and I mean, do you still do any guiding like that on the off season, or do you just kind of like say, look, I'm taking a break?
Yeah, no, I'm kind of more on the taking a break deal. I'll usually end up, nowadays I do a couple guide trips a year, but they're usually, like I'll donate one to a charity for raffling off, or do one for a sponsor of mine or something like that. Not really, advertising and taking people out that way. So I still do a couple, but very, very few.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, Chris, you say we got some more questions coming in?
Yeah, Jim wants to know, with the events on the schedule this season, aside from the Classic, which one is he looking forward the most to? Looking most forward to, rather.
Yeah, I guess.
I would probably say Champlain. Just, I think that one fishes the closest to the lakes at my house, so I feel super comfortable when I go. Any of the natural lakes in upstate New York, they're real similar to what I grew up fishing.
Yeah. Now, when y'all went to, was it South Dakota or North Dakota? Which event was
it?
Yeah,
South Dakota, Lake Oahe, a couple of years ago.
Was that that was kind of more in your wheelhouse, right? I mean, was that kind of like
a little bit. I mean, it was a smallmouth fishery, but I had a lot higher hopes for that place going there, and after being there, that place is really massive and doesn't quite have the population all the way through it that most of our lakes do around my house.
Yeah.
So it was kind of different. It was, I mean, you're just there was some fish throughout the system, but it turned into one of them deals where if you didn't run, 40, 50, 60 miles up the river, you just weren't not around the right caliber of fish. It was a lot different than, most most of our lakes around my house, you know, there's quality fish spread from one end to the other, and that one, leaving there, it was pretty evident that the further up that river you went, the bigger the fish were, and you know, I spent my time fishing, you know, on the bottom 30 miles of the lake, and I just was not even around the right caliber of fish.
Yeah, it seemed like that was a tough event. Watching Mark Daniels and all them, that seemed like that was kind of, it wasn't a knockout drag out. I mean, you know, guys were getting pretty tickled catching 2-pounders, you know. So
yeah, I was expecting a lot more out of that place from, you know, what I had heard about it in the past years. You know, it wasn't a place that really got bass fished much, but you know, over the years I've known quite a few people that go out there walleye fishing, and they're always talking about how many 4-pound smallies they catch out there, but I don't think most of those people know what a 4-pound smallmouth looks like. So
yeah.
I think they were catching 2-pounders.
Yeah. And Chris, you say we got one more. Was there another question you had?
No, we're good on questions.
Okay. All right. Let's kind of dig in. Seth, we always do an in-depth segment, and we always try to stay true to what is coming up in the fishing, you know, in the schedule of fishing. And right now in Virginia, North Carolina, all that stuff, you're getting into that early spring bass fishing. Granted, we're still kind of in that winter stage right now in Virginia. I mean, they're still catching them A-rigs and all that. But let's get into early spring. Let's say 55 to 58 degree water temperature range. What is when you get to, let's say, a regular reservoir like, I don't know if you've ever been to that lake. I'm just trying to think of somewhere between Tennessee, like a Tennessee reservoir, Virginia, North Carolina, something like it. When you get into one of those reservoirs there where they're kind of deep water reservoirs, but you got a lot of, you know, rivers that are tied into them, what are some things you're starting to look for when you get into early springtime fishing? Where are you going to look at starting?
I mean, in that scenario with that water temp, I'm probably going to fish up lake, and definitely probably going to be beating the bank in pockets.
Yeah.
You'll definitely have some fish that'll stage on some points and stuff like that, but I'm probably going to crank that trolling motor up, grab a moving bait and a flipping stick, and keep my eyes peeled for anything that might have started spawning yet. But definitely going to be fishing shallow and in protected pockets. And a sneaky good lure that time of year is a buzzbait, even though people don't think about it much. That's some of my best, like right in that like high 50 degree mark. There's a really, really good sneaky buzzbait bite.
Oh, really? See, it was always like if I seen 60s, I'm like, it's buzzbait time. But you know, I never really thought about it in the 50s. You know what I mean? You getting that mid to upper 50s.
And you catch big ones on it that time of year too, because what happens is a lot of those, you know, you got your bucks, they're going to be up shallow, you know, sniffing around where they're going to spawn or making a bed. And a lot of those females, especially if you fish clear water, you'll see them quite a bit. They'll get up there and just kind of sun, you know, 10 feet out off the bank, just a foot or two under the surface, you know, maybe over 3 to 8 feet of water or whatever. But when they're up there sunning, I think they're doing it to get their eggs ready or whatever, but they're very close to the surface, and they're kind of a sucker for a buzzbait. It's actually one of the only baits you can really catch them on good when they're set up like that.
Yeah. Now, when that buzzbait bite ain't really doing much, what's another rod you got tied on for like a reaction bait? Are you kind of looking more into crankbaits or?
Yeah, definitely crankbait. I feel like the crankbait bite kind of starts to slip at that water temp. You know, you're really definitely a spinner bait. A swim jig's going to start to be a player around then. And then I really like flipping a Texas rig tube anytime that water temp gets up in those high 50s throughout the 60s.
Yeah, so like you find any kind of like lay down, stump,
yeah,
dock, you know.
Yeah, lay down, docks, bank grass, a stick, whatever. Bigger chunk rocks out up the bank where anything a fish can sit around, really. But when those fish getting close to spawning, I have really good luck flipping a Texas rig tube.
Yeah, Yeah, and that's one of my dad's big baits during, I'm gonna say all year long. Really, he's fished rivers a lot, so he loves Texas rigging a tube. And I never even really threw him much. I even watched my dad catch him behind me in the boat flipping a tube. You know, and it was never my bait. I always took like a crawl or something in like a candy grass color. You know what I mean? Me and you, Chris, we did that one time.
Yeah.
And but that's kind of like, now what kind of colors do you, when you start flipping, what are your main colors? Are you trying to like mimic a crawfish? You staying with that? I know watercolor has a big factor in that, but let's say a little bit of stained water, you know, are you throwing that green pumpkin or watermelon seed?
Yeah. No, I have 2 giant bags of tubes in my boat, and I only have 2 colors. I got green pumpkin and black neon with black with red flake. If it's anywhere from a foot of visibility or greater, I'm gonna flip green pumpkin, and then when I get in the chocolate milk, the mud, I flip the black with the red flake, and that's it. Yeah. I keep it pretty simple.
All right, now you like that with other baits? When does it you start getting into more like a flipping a crawl kind of bait, or a worm, or I say a beaver bait or anything? Do you even mess with a lot of that stuff, or you kind of keep it simple?
No, I used to fish a beaver a lot. I don't hardly throw one anymore. I'll throw a jig quite a bit with a cross style trailer on it up until that high 50-degree mark. Once I think some fish are getting pretty close to spawning, then I'll switch to that tube, and I'll flip that mostly through early summer, and then seems like midsummer going into the fall, I do better again on a jig. So
yeah,
I keep it really simple. I used to love the beaver baits, but the tube was always really good to me, and it seemed like when those the D-bombs and sweet beavers came out, like everybody just quit flipping a tube. Brush hog, same deal. Everybody moved to those creature baits, and the tube's a lot different, and I think you get a lot more reaction strikes with a tube than you do with those other style baits. So and I don't think very many guys are throwing it anymore, so
yeah,
that kind of just became an extra confidence boost for me. And I keep it pretty simple.
Hey Chris, the other question we had, was it toward technique?
Oh yeah, Jerry's wanting to know what the lowest temps he would throw a topwater.
Low 50s.
So you're talking
and I won't say never. I've been with my buddy on Mississippi River real late in the fall, and I've watched him catch, fish on topwaters in 40-degree water. But realistically, most of the places you go, it's going to be in that mid-50 and up is when I'm going to topwater fish. But with the exception that anytime a bass is in super shallow water, 2 foot or less, the topwater bait is a good option.
Yeah.
That was the deal on the Mississippi. I was with a buddy of mine. We were in a little backwater, and the water was cold, but those fish were still in like a foot of water. And when they get that shallow, there's not too many baits you can really catch them on.
Yeah, exactly. Chris, we got anything else that come across there?
No, it's pretty quiet right now.
Now, when you're let's go over. So you're talking about flipping a tube, and then we'll go over your buzz bait. What is your setup for throwing a buzz bait, and what kind of buzz bait do you like to throw?
I just throw a generic buzz bait, just a 1/4 ounce. Keep it pretty light. I don't throw them with a skirt on them. I usually just throw a toad style bait or a boot tail swim bait on them. And then straight braid, 30-pound on a fast reel with a 7.3 medium heavy bait caster.
Yeah, and then going over to your tube, like what's your setup? Is it a heavy setup with that for flipping?
Pretty similar setup. I use a 7-foot medium heavy, 30-pound braid, and I'll tie a fluorocarbon leader for the tube, somewhere between. It's 9 times out of 10 it's 20-pound, but sometimes I'll go down to 15. Sometimes I'll go up to 25, depending on the situation. But 8-to-1 gear ratio. Daiwa tool SV on a 7-foot medium heavy with 30-pound braid. And I will say with the tube, I flip a considerably lighter weight with a tube than I do with most other things. Like it's pretty rare for me to put it on even a 3/8 ounce. I kind of stay in that 3/16 to 5/16 ounce range with the tube, where if I and the weird thing is, like with the jig, I rarely ever slip one under a half ounce. So with the tube, it's a lot more subtle of a bait. When you put too heavy of a weight on there, it really overpowers it and takes a lot of its action away. Kind of just turns it into a straight drop bait when you put a lot of weight on it. When you fish it with a lighter weight, you get quite a bit more action out of it, more erratic action when it's falling.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to rigging your tube, and you talk about Texas rigging it, is there a time where you say I'm going to peg it, and there's a time when I'm not, or does when you peg it, does it take away from the action on the fall, or?
Yeah, I always peg it, but I'll take I use the rubber bobber stops. I'll take that and I'll slide that up about. I don't peg it tight to the bait. I leave it up about 3 to 4 inches, and that'll get that real erratic action. But then if I'm in some heavy brush or a bit of grass, I'm not getting to the point where my weight's on one side of a limb and my bait's on the other. It'll still keep the bait with it, but that little bit of 3 to 4 inches of play in your sinker is enough to make that bait fall like it isn't pegged.
Yeah. That's right. Do we have another question, Chris?
Yeah, Clay wants to know, when do you pick up the shadow wrap over the ripstop, and which do you throw more?
I throw the shadow wrap almost all the time, and I almost always throw the deep version. I know a lot of guys, jerkbait fishermen, typically tend to throw the shallow versions of the models, but I just feel like I got a lot more control with the deep diving jerkbait than I do with the shallower ones. The shallower ones, you're just really limited. That bait's you're only ever going to get 3 to 4 feet out of it. And I can fish that deep one and still keep it up if I want to. And if I want to get it down to, 6, 8, 9 feet, I can do that. And another reason is just because I'll fish a jerkbait quite a bit around cover. And a lot of times when you're fishing, like whether it be boat docks or maybe deeper laydowns or stuff like that, where you can't get, a long cast way past it to get your bait down. I can, even just in those like floating dock slips, I can pitch that bait. You might only have 20 feet to the back of the slip or whatever, and I can get my bait down, 4, 5, 6 feet pretty quick before I get out past the end of the dock on a short cast,
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I really appreciate you going to the in-depth segment with that. I just got a couple more questions before we let you go. Kind of pertain, I ain't going to keep beating a dead horse here because this whole Major League Fishing thing's all in said and done with, the merger, the breakup, and however you want to call this whole deal. But now that you've been fishing the Elite Series for a while, we're going into the second year. Does it feel like it's how does it feel now? Does it still feel good? It's a lot of new guys that came in, a lot of guys with a lot of talent. Do you feel like it's still just as competitive as it always was, just with new blood in it?
Yeah, 100%. Just as competitive. It's just, the majority of the names aren't household names at the time. You can look over there and they got 80 guys, but a lot of them haven't caught them in a really long time. No disrespect or anything, but they have big household names, but they haven't really been catching them that good in the last 5 to 10 years. So when you look at rosters side by side, there's obviously pops a little more, but we got a lot more of those, 20-something, 30-something-year-old guys that they don't have that household name, but they're fishing really good right now. They're really hungry, definitely have the talent. They just haven't had the exposure those other guys have. So, and it's like with any tournament circuit, we got our hammers, they got theirs, and they got some people that aren't that good fishermen, and so do we,
Yeah. Well, I think it was great. I think it was great for the sport. Like I said, it got new people in there. It got some people that didn't really have the opportunity to make it in there now, and kind of showing what they got. But I'll tell you this, as on media side, I'm like, man, because we're getting everything ready to go down and do media coverage side for the Classic, and now I'm like, man, I got to learn all these new people. Like, I don't even know some of these people who they are, but but they're making a name for themselves. It's going to be some new household names soon.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
100%.
But yeah, so I mean, I guess so. Everything's starting to feel. It's like, has it felt like it's been a lot of changes at Bass now to kind of do more promoting you guys and all that? I mean, are y'all starting to feel a little more comfortable now over there with the changes and kind of settling in and doing your thing now?
I was really promoting their anglers. I mean, that's why all those guys on MLF have household names,
Yeah.
Is what Bass has done for them. There's a lot of guys on FLW that are, just quality anglers, but don't really get the same exposure over there. I think in a few years' time, the majority of the Elite Series is going to be, household names just like it was a few years ago. But, that's the beauty of Bass. I think they do an excellent job promoting their anglers. Getting them out there for the world to see.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Seth, I really appreciate you taking the time to call in and talk to us, and like I say, especially on your travels, getting ready for the Classic. We wish you well, man, and look forward to doing some interviews with you down there.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, man. Well, you have a safe trip, and good luck at the Classic this year, and good luck to your 2020 season as well, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in, bud. Thank you. Bye.
All right. See you guys.
All right, guys. I hope we got to everybody's questions. Chris, I know.
Yeah, sorry, Jerry. I didn't get the last one there. He's wanting to know what he thought of the new professional fishing tour.
Oh, yeah. Dang, that would have been a good question to ask, too. Well, you know what, Jerry? Just keep us in mind on that, because we're going to be going down there. We're going to be trying to get a list of questions before we go to the Classic. We're actually going to be doing running, I guess, kind of like an ad deal on our page. And we want to get some top questions of what people would want us to ask these pros when we get down there and we're doing our interviews. Because we got media day, and then we also got each day that they weigh in, they come backstage and we do our interviews. And a lot of that's going to be on YouTube, and we'll be sharing it here on Facebook as well. But sorry we didn't get to your question there. Sometimes that thing is slow on stuff popping up on our end, but
takes
that's
a while.
Facebook for you. Yeah. You got to love it. But no, I really do appreciate Seth calling in. That was a really great interview.
You just missed him, Jared.
Oh, what happened?
He was asking if Seth made it on yet.
Oh yeah. You can go back and check it out here in a little while. We had him on. It was, like I say, that was a really great interview. A whole different side of the aspect when it comes to early spring. And I was thinking more was going to be cranking. I really did, because like on Smith, when water temperature's in those low 50s to mid 50s, it's shad wrap for me, So, and him being on Rapala, I kind of thought maybe, that was going to kind of be the deal, but he's gotten more to the buzzbait side. And I know a couple of guys at Smith that start throwing a buzzbait before they go on beds. It's never worked out great for me, but we got something else coming up?
Yeah, Jared, you can watch it. You go back and watch the replay after the live is over.
Yeah.
If you want to listen to the interview.
And then we'll also have it up on YouTube here soon. So it'll be on YouTube as well. And then also, guys, if you're on your way to work, you didn't catch the whole show, I'm going to work tonight. Hopefully have that up on iTunes in the morning. So you can be able to listen to the show on iTunes or Stitcher or whatever other platform that you we're on pretty much most of the popular platforms for streaming. So you can go back and check that out and listen to us there as well.
We appreciate that, Mark and Vicky.
What was that?
Great show.
Oh, appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for guys. It was really great meeting Mark and them up there. He's the one that had the bomber.
Oh, okay.
The bomber bonafide.
Yeah, I like those boats.
Yeah. That's actually one of the kind of the boats you wanted, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But
I liked it. I think his was a 107, correct?
Yes. Yes, I think so. He had the center console, trolling motor, and all that on there. So, but yeah, no. Speaking of that, we were getting into it, and then we kind of got to where we was gonna get Seth on. Didn't have a lot of time to talk about it. The Augusta County Fishing Expo was a blast. Got to talk to a lot of people. Got to introduce some people into more of the whole kayaking tournament thing, that people, they knew the kayaking scene was growing, but they didn't realize like the rigs, that you could get into.
Thank you, Jim.
What was that?
Great show.
Oh yeah. Yeah, thanks again, guys. Hey, like I said earlier, if you can share the show, I really appreciate it. It helps us just get out there and grow it a little bit more.
Clay's got a question. He's wanting to know how you rig up your tube. Do you use a weighted tube hook, or you just use the EWG hook and like you use a worm weight over it pegged?
Well, kind of like what Seth was talking about, Texas rigging it. He's actually taking and doing like a bullet weight, tungsten weight with the EWG hook. So now when you get to your Magnum tubes and all that, of course, you're going to need a bigger, like Ishman Rowe. I know he was there for a while, was real famous for throwing them big Magnum tubes, especially when the elites came to Smith.
Yeah.
And they were catching them bedding fish. I mean, they're throwing tubes that are like, this big. They're just throwing really big tubes. So, but yeah, that's going to be your texture. Now, you can get into the weighted hooks and all that. I think
I bought some of those one time. I never had no luck with tubes, so I just quit using them.
Yeah.
So.
Around here, a lot of people throw them on the river.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure people still throw them at Smith and all that. It's not my bait. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do know a lot of guys that catch big smallmouth on tubes. Some of the smaller tubes, some of the regular Strike King tubes, green pumpkins, stuff like that. But,
thank you, Jillian.
But yeah, that's something I think I need to get into more throwing this coming up here. But now kind of getting back to the other side, we had a great time at the Augusta County Fishing Expo. We had Chris there. We had Jason. We had Casey Watson.
Yep.
The wives came up. Got the kids. Kids was handing out stickers and business cards and the Rogue products.
Those sold real well.
Yeah, those sold really, really good. I'm glad we ended up getting the other shipment in before.
You sold a lot of Yak Attack stuff too, though.
Yeah, we sold some Yak Attack. We sold a couple nets and all that stuff. So it was fun, man. It was really, that was the first show we worked as OneObjective. And to kind of get out there and just say, hey guys, we're here. This is what we do. And then we got an invite, which we just did an event on our Facebook page. We got an invite to the Appomattox River Company in the Hampton store to be setting up and just kind of talking about our mounts and all that. So, and I don't know, James got one of the invitations and I got one from, my daggone brain is slipping right now with names. Micah, and was wanting to know if we want to come up here and work it. And from what I understand, I don't know if we have a chance to even do a show. So I'm hoping we can get you up there and we can just kind of do a live show there. Get some of these people sitting down talking with us, and guys from some of the big products that are going to be there with Yak Attack. Talk to John. They're going to be up there cooking hot dogs and all that stuff.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah, it's just going to be a swap meet. There's going to be guys up there that's got some stuff they want to get rid of. But also, have a chance at buying some new gear, new products, stuff like that. But we won't have none of our other stuff we have on our site. It's just mainly going to be OneObjective stuff. So, but now we're looking forward to that. Looking forward to the Bassmaster Classic coming up. We got, I'm going to say for us, another week and about a week and a half, and then we're going to be heading down there. So, I'm going to be setting up a few things for our YouTube. As you can see, we have some product videos we'll be coming out with, some new stuff. Me and James and I was talking with Chris tonight, looking at maybe taking a week and doing a big road trip and doing some fishing, doing some filming. Also, we're going to be visiting some dealers. So if any guys are dealers, kayak dealers, interested in carrying any of our mounts, we got some new product, some new line of mounts that we're going to be coming out with, and looking forward to getting a lot of those out there and getting it in some dealers as well. We already got with Bob and Journey and American Outdoors out there. They're carrying some of our stuff. So it's good. And then, we're worldwide now. We're out in Australia. So that's
you've been in Australia a while though, right?
Yeah. We've been out there for a while. So it's pretty cool. That's just to kind of see our stuff out there and them selling it. So other than that, Chris, we got any other questions coming in right now? Any comments?
No, Ron says he's in on the road trip.
He's in? Is that Ron Weimer?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I couldn't imagine having that dude on a road trip with us for a week. I don't think it'd be much. I don't think we'd catch much. We'd be out there having a good time, though.
Yeah.
We'd be laughing the whole time. That's what we'd be doing.
We could use his big TV he's got on his kayak.
Yeah, the big old monster graph
he's
got on there.
Graph he's got on that thing.
Yeah.
Man.
We could watch a race out there on a Sunday and that thing.
Netflix and everything else.
Netflix and fish, you know. But now we'll also, one more thing before we go. We're going to be having some stickers up on the website here soon. So anybody that's been interested in some stickers, we plan on getting them up there. We're not going to sell them for much. It'll be kind of cheap, but price-wise. So we'll have those up there here soon. We're working on some other things for hats and all that, but it's just trying to get everything done.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Building victory. And, and I really appreciate everybody kind of being patient with us. We had just a boom in mounts being sold, and got a lot of mounts sold. And at the same time that we were sitting victory up. So we got kind of behind on everything. So, but now we're getting caught up. We're getting mounts out. I really appreciate everybody that has bought mounts from us and accessories and all that. It's really been a blessing. I'm not going to lie on that. So, but other than that, guys, start getting some questions together. Always feel free to message them to us. Some questions that you have for the pros that, you might would like us to ask when we're down there at Media Day. We're going to be putting some stuff together. And then we'll be having a Classic giveaway. So we'll be getting some products down there at the Classic. We're going to be doing, it's probably going to be a YouTube giveaway is what we're going to be doing with that. So we'll be getting subscribers. And we'll be picking from our subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please go subscribe to it. I want to thank everybody that has subscribed, everybody that's followed us on Facebook. We really appreciate it, and appreciate everybody that shared our pictures, shared our post. Really do like it. So, but other than that, guys, I don't have nothing else to add. Chris, we got any more questions? Any more comments?
No, everybody's quiet now.
All right.
Getting tired.
Getting tired. I'm getting tired of talking too. My throat's starting to hurt a little bit. But guys, y'all have a great weekend. Great week, shall I say? Be safe and share some fish pictures with us, guys. We'd love to be able to get them up on Instagram and Facebook. And but other than that, guys, y'all have a great weekend. We'll talk to you later. See you.
See you.